presenter for today. We thank you all for coming. Rather than hold Dr. Allie up, enjoy. We're going to get started right now. So welcome, Dr. Allie.
Thank you. How you guys doing today? Good? All right, so I'm going to be talking about longevity, living long and also living quality, not just living long, but living a long quality life. And a lot of this information I've gotten from reading the book, The Blue Zones. Do you guys know about the Blue Zones? The Blue Zones are areas around the world that have the most people living to 100, like the highest concentration of people living to 100. And a man went around, I forgot his name, it's not on the book, and he traveled for 10 years and he interviewed people who lived in these blue zones and to find out exactly how they lived and what they did and what made them not just live long lives, but live long, healthy, quality lives. And so that's a lot of what I'm going to be talking about. It's very interesting. It's a really good book. If you haven't seen the book, it's a very interesting book. Yes. Yeah. Dan Buettner. There's also, I think he has like a blog and he's always writing articles, and he's got, I think there's an actual cookbook, Blue Zone cookbook. So the whole goal of my office is to empower people to live long, healthy lives and to integrate the 5 essentials. And now the 5 essentials are chiropractic to help so your nervous system functions properly, so your brain communicates with your organs. Nutrition, so you get the best quality nutrition, and it's not like a diet. I'm not going to be talking about diet. I never talk about a diet. Your mindset, exercising and getting enough oxygen and minimizing toxins. Those are the 5 essentials that you need to live a long, healthy life. So we're going to apply those with the blue zones to longevity. So even though we have the most healthcare spending in our country than any other country in the world, we are in the worst health than any other of the wealthy nations. We die earlier and we suffer from more diseases. And that was from the National Academies Press in 2013. We're like one of the sickest developed countries in the world, and we spend more money on healthcare and medication than any other country. So clearly, that's not the answer, and that's not the way to have a long, healthy life, right? So one of the blue zones is Icaria, Greece. So it's not just a country that he targeted like a city or a community that had the unbelievable amount of people living to 100. So Icaria, Greece is one of these places. And so here are some of the things that they do. So first of all, compared to Americans, they live 8 years longer. They have 20% less cancer, 50% less heart disease, and basically no dementia or Alzheimer's. So whatever they're doing, maybe we should start doing that, right? So here's what they do. And there's no like pill and there's no special diet necessarily, but here's what they do. It's on here. They wake up naturally. They don't make themselves wake up early and go run around and drink coffee and be crazy. They spend time working in their gardens. They eat a late lunch and then they nap. And after sunset, they spend quality time socializing with their friends and their neighbors. Like that's what they do. So traditional exercise like running, cycling, CrossFit is not a part of their lifestyle. That's not to say that they don't move their bodies. They just move their bodies naturally by working in the garden, by walking with their friends, by doing things. They don't just go to a gym, which is like a really controlled environment, and like run on a treadmill. They do things that are outside in nature, in the sun, in the wind, in the rain, and they move and they do physical activities, right? So let's look at their diet. So Buettner reported that the Icarian diet is mostly vegetables harvested from their gardens. Again, this is not about being a vegetarian or anything. That's not what this is about. This is just what they eat, and it's more their whole lifestyle than like. If you just copy what they eat, you're not necessarily going to get healthier anyway. It's more than that. So they eat mostly from their gardens. So it's locally grown and it's raised organically, right? They eat legumes, leafy greens. They use a lot of olive oil, which is really, really good. They don't necessarily cook with it. it's put on their food raw. So this is their typical diet. Here's what they typically eat. So in the breakfast, they have goat's milk, which is raw, right? And milked probably that morning. They have wine with their breakfast. Sage tea or coffee, honey and bread. These are things that you wouldn't necessarily associate with health. But again, everything is made by them from locally, and they don't eat a lot. So lunch was almost always beans, either lentils or garbanzo beans, potatoes, some kind of green, and whatever vegetables their garden produced. And dinner was bread and goat's milk. So according to Buettner, Icarians are known for drinking many antioxidant-rich herbal teas made with ingredients like wild mint or rosemary. And so there's a story, and I don't have it in front of me, but there's a story about a man from Icaria, and he had moved here and he lived in America for years, for his whole, like he got married and moved to America and adopted the standard American lifestyle. He worked long hours, he stressed himself out, he ate the standard American diet with like a lot of processed food and a lot of processed meat, not meat that you kill in your backyard, naturally raised meat. And when he was 60, he developed pancreatic cancer. And at that point, he had children and grandchildren, and they basically told him he had, I think maybe they said that he had 6 to 9 months to live. So what he did, because he didn't want to be a burden to his children, he moved back to Icaria. And when he went back to Icaria, he started living the way they live. So he started getting up in the morning and he worked on his garden. The garden there they weren't using anymore. So he created this huge garden. Like every day he went outside and worked on this garden. He would take a nap every day, and every night he would take a walk to town and meet with his friends and play cards and do all this stuff. And guess what happened in 6 to 9 months, right? He didn't die. And, 10 years later, when he still didn't die, he contacted his doctor here, like, what's going on? Why didn't I die? And that doctor had actually passed away. And so when he got rechecked for cancer, the cancer was gone. And 30 years later, he was interviewed by Buettner. He was like 90 something. I don't even know if he's still alive. I haven't followed up with the story, but I know that he lived 30 years past his death day that they said because of his cancer. But what he did differently was he removed his stress, right? He got rid of the stress. He got rid of like rushing. He started going outside. He started seeing his friends. He started moving, eating food that was grown locally and not eating a lot, really. And that was it. And so it's really interesting story. And it's very inspiring, because just because you get a death sentence from a doctor, what else he didn't do was he did not do any of the treatments that the doctor recommended. He said, oh, I'm going to die. All right, I'm just going back and I'll just die there. But he did none of the treatment. So you can choose to do whatever you want to do with your life and your health. You don't have to listen to any doctor. You can make a choice by yourself. Was like Kara. Now we're going to talk about Sardinia, Italy. That's another place where there's a lot of people living. Look how beautiful that is. I just want to look at that guy with his hat. He's pretty fancy. Look at that guy. He's probably like 110, that guy. Yeah. So here in Sardinia. This is very different too, because when I read about Sardinia, they live in the mountains. And some of these people, one of the guys in the book was 70, and he would walk 20 miles with his goats in the mountains, like almost every day. And so, and he was like a 30-year-old. And that was because he just moved a lot and walked a lot and was outside and climbing the mountains and walking down trails. So his body developed, like he had great balance. He would never fall. It's because of the situations he put himself in, right? So he found that in Sardinia, in Italy, but specifically in Sardinia, there's a culture of celebrating the elderly. So instead of keeping them separate and like putting them in a nursing home or whatever, it was like they were like the crown jewel of the community. And many times in Italy in general, but in Sardinia, of course, is the grandparents live with their children and help with the children and help raise their children. So it gives them a sense of purpose. And that was one of the things that reading the book was the most important thing that I saw was the most important thing throughout every blue zone. I think there's 9 blue zones, was a sense of purpose. And so helping raise their grandchildren and living in the house and helping raise their grandchildren was a sense of gave them a sense of purpose and made them feel like they were useful, and they were very, very engaged in the community, in family, and in the community. So look, they lived in their extended families' homes until they were in their hundreds. They walk miles and miles every day. Obviously, that contributes to their longevity. And if it's very mountainous, they're like climbing up and down. So again, every day they work on their balance, which keeps your mind young. When you work on your balance, that's one thing a neurologist told me once, that one of the things to prevent Alzheimer's is to work on your balance. So stand on one foot. And that's why I like yoga. You stand on one foot and you do things, and then you stand on the other foot. So balance keeps your mind young. And so they do that. They put family first. They celebrate elderly people. They walk more and they laugh. It really doesn't say much about their food, because it doesn't matter. They probably, living someplace like this, what do you eat? You eat whatever is grown locally seasonally. And in Italy, very specifically, even if you go to any part of Italy, I traveled to Italy, no matter where you go in Italy, they're just making and selling food that just grows right there, right then. So there's not a lot of stuff that's being brought in. They're not getting food from around the world. They're just eating what they grow. And I've had a lot of patients that grew up in Italy, and they're eating the chickens that they raise, and the goats and the sheep and the cows that they raise, and they're getting milk from those animals, which is not pasteurized, which is raw. So everything is in its most natural state. Joy has a question.
They can even eat gluten in there too.
Like yeah.
The bread.
Yeah. So you know how gluten is a very big problem, and it is one of the biggest problems in our country. And one of the biggest problems with your brain is gluten. But I know people who have celiac disease, so they can't eat any gluten. But when they go to Italy, they can just eat any wheat there, because the wheat is grown differently. It's like an ancient wheat. It just doesn't exist in our country. So, but over there, they eat gluten. Like Melody went to Italy, and she's like really seriously allergic to gluten, has a real disease, celiac disease. She ate pasta and bread and everything else over there, and she didn't even have a problem, because just because it's wheat doesn't mean it's the same wheat. Like wheat used to be wheat, like high fields of grain. Now it's like short and like concentrated, and they've changed it to a point where you can't even digest it and process it, and it affects your brain in a very detrimental way. So, but yeah, they do eat. It's very interesting, isn't it? All right, Okinawa, Japan. I think that was the #1 place where there are the most people living to 100. The stories in Okinawa, Japan were very interesting. One of the women who he interviewed said that because she lived through the war, she said she may have been exaggerating, but she said for 50 years, all she ate was sweet potatoes. That was like the only food she got, with like herbs that she could grow in her garden. She like basically said she didn't eat much else. Now, so that's not, so again, it's not like, well, I'm just gonna eat sweet potatoes all day. That's not why she lived. She was also like the main spiritual consultant for the town. And everyone, every day, these people came to her and they discussed all these things in the town. And she was over 100. Again, you should read this book. It's a really good book. So this is it's an island off of Japan, and it's home to the world's longest living women. Or I think Sardinia or somewhere else is longest living men. So again, just very simple, lots of sunshine and fresh air. When you're outside, you have to take your mask off. They spend a lot of quality time with friends, with their families, and with people in the community. They get out, they go out and they like do things together as a community. And I love this, harahachibu, meaning that's Japanese. It means you only eat until you're 8/10 full. So 80% full. You should never, ever eat until you're full. You should be hungry when you stop eating. You should be like, oh, I'm still hungry. And then you should stop eating. So, and again, most of these places around the world, we have these people living really long. They say that they don't eat a lot, that they're always a little bit hungry. And that's one thing they talked about, even in the Himalayas, separately from this book even, is that the people who are older, when they were asked, what did you do? Oh, I got outside a lot, walked around a lot, and I limited my calories. Like I didn't eat a lot of food. That doesn't mean you eat no calorie food and drink diet soda. That means they did not eat until they were full. And of course, so they typically eat half the daily calories of the United States, but they eat no processed food at all. So processed food is what is going to kill you and destroy your brain, and the way your brain functions is processed food and junk food. So the elderly are also very respected. They're an integral part of the community. They feel very valued. They have an elderly Okinawans expressed a very high level of purpose with their lives. So maybe they, you know, they have a certain, their community, the way things work there is very different. But here, you can just volunteer. What do you feel passionate about? Go volunteer, do something to help other people, right? Maybe go teach children how to read who have trouble reading, or I don't know, go to the library and read books, whatever it is that you feel drawn to do, just volunteer time. It will give you purpose. And that is the number one thing that they talked about with their quality of life anywhere was purpose in their life. And a lot of them were very spiritual, and they had all different religions. Some were Christian, some were Catholic, some were, I don't know what they are in Okinawa. I don't know. I don't even know if they're Buddhist. I don't know, but it was all different spiritual practices, but they were very spiritual. They did believe like in a higher purpose, and they believed that they were part of that, and that their lives meant something, and that they were there for a reason. That's really important. Let's see. All right, we're going to talk about, there's like 9 blue zones, but I'm not going through all those. I do have a blue zone workshop that it's a video, and I did it like a couple of years ago, and it's on my Facebook page, and Joy, it's on my YouTube. I think it's called Blue Zones. Maybe she'll send it. And I go really, really more into that too, but we're going to talk about all of the different essentials. So your mindset, it's all about your mindset. What's your mindset? Is your mindset, oh my gosh, I'm old? Well, then you're old. Is your mindset, I'm young, I'm still like 30, then that's your mindset. Your mindset is going to determine how you do things. If you feel like, oh, I'm too old to do that, then you're too old to do it. And that's really it. Like if you feel like, and it doesn't matter what anyone around you is doing. It doesn't matter if everyone around you is the same age and they just sit around and do nothing. You can be like, well, I want to go run a marathon, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, or I want to do these things. You can do anything you want at any age, as long as you make a decision to do it. You learn new things. Like, what can you learn? Do you want to learn how to play the guitar, or learn how to ballroom dance, or learn how to crochet, or whatever it is? It doesn't matter. Just it's all here. Age is all here. I've had people come in and tell me that they're getting old, and they're 40, right? Oh, I you know, my back hurts because I'm getting old. I'm like, you're not getting old until, first of all, you're not old until like 100. So I don't want to hear I'm getting old, right? But it's a mindset. They think, oh my gosh, I'm getting older. My body's now going to start falling apart. And then either it does start falling apart because they stop doing things, right? They like stop pushing themselves because they're afraid, or they just think it. And then there you are. Now you feel old, and now everything hurts, and now that's your mindset. So Aristotle said happiness is a sort of action, right? You have to have a mindset of creating peace. You have to decrease being rushed. You have to love your life, and you have to have great relationships. Those are all very, very important things. Relationships, I found in the book, when everyone talked about this, was the most important part of living longer. Having really good relationships and being happy and loving your life and creating whatever life you want. Whatever you want to do it. People think you're crazy, who cares? Right? I did that. So I don't know who said this, but laughter may well be the best medicine, and it's best delivered with gratefulness, joy, and meaningful human connection. So laughing is really important. Watch funny movies, or just do silly, stupid things. Have fun, right? Enjoy your life. Have fun and laugh with your friends. My mom is 84 and completely 100% mentally alert, like no signs of dementia. She fell a couple months ago and broke her leg and is like almost completely recovered from it. And one of the things about my mom is like, what I remember about my mom, well, I don't remember, she's not dead. My mom's still alive. But one of the best things about my mom is that even growing up, one of my memories of her is like, we would laugh. We would just crack up and like be dying laughing over like the silliest things. And I swear that's one of the things that's one of her gifts. Like regardless of what, I could tell you some funny stories. And we couldn't even breathe. We would be laughing so hard. And that was like very consistent in our relationship since I was a kid. So laugh more, find some funny stuff. It's funny stuff everywhere. Here are the benefits of laughter. I know this is in here. Laughing burns calories. It can reduce anxiety by 50%. That's amazing. Humor encourages you to maintain a constructive distance from a problem in order to see a different perspective. So if there's something crazy going on, you got to take a step back and maybe laugh at it. You're like, what the heck is that? And then you might see things differently. In over 70% of cases of clinical depression, humor has helped patients from being overwhelmed by problems. Very, very important. Ooh, go ahead. You have a question? You said there was a noise. Laughing can give your heart a workout, and some studies lowers your blood pressure. It actually strengthens your immune system by increasing your T cells and activating your T cells to immediately begin fighting viruses and other infections. And guess what? Fear has the opposite effect. So if you're afraid, you know what happens to your immune system? It gets lowered by 50%. If you are laughing, so if you're afraid of a virus, you're more likely to get sick from it and get really sick from it because your immune system's not functioning. If you otherwise laugh at that virus, it's going to increase your immune system and you're going to fight it. It's a simple biological fact. So go watch a funny movie. Yeah.
Chickens are funny.
Get chickens and goats and turkeys. We have lots of animals in our office and we have a lot of fun and laugh at our animals all the time. It's fun. So find something that you always wanted to do. What's fun? What makes you laugh? What brings you joy? And do that. But be careful about letting your lives be run by fear, because that's just going to destroy your immune system. So here we go. Here's some ideas. Get involved. Individuals who volunteer have lower mortality rates than those who do not. They die, you know, it's not like they don't die at all, but they just die older. States that have volunteer rates are more likely, that have high volunteer rates are more likely to have greater longevity and less incidence of heart disease. And high daily activity is associated with the reduced risks of Alzheimer's disease. I'm doing a workshop at my office on October 16th at 12:30. It's going to be live on Facebook, and I'm going to be talking about the brain very specifically. And I do talk about Alzheimer's and preventing it and preventing dementia and even ways you can start to reverse it, but it's better to prevent it. Nutrition, everybody's favorite part is food. Until I start telling them what they need to do, and then it's not their favorite part. Cultures with longevity eat real food. That's like number one, eat real food. Meaning you just eat fruits and you eat vegetables that are organic, because that's the least amount of messing, that's the least amount of hands and stuff added to it, right? Because when you start spraying vegetables with pesticides, it's going to change your hormones. A lot of those are hormone disrupting. And if it's organic, it's just more fruit, it just has more nutrients in it. Local is better, but whatever, eat real food. Like meat should be from a grass-fed cow, because cows should eat grass. That's it. Chickens should run around and eat bugs, because that's what chickens eat. So you eat a chicken that's pastured, right? Eat eggs from chickens that are pastured. I don't recommend being a vegetarian unless you really want to be a vegetarian, but then you have to just eat vegetables. A lot of vegetarians eat bagels and cream cheese all day, right? And that's not vegetarian, but I see that a lot. So eating real food is number one. It's not a diet, right? It's a lifestyle, and it's a better relationship with food. Food should not be what is the most important thing in your day, that it brings you joy. It should be, you eat because you have to eat, and you eat good food. And it's fine to enjoy your food, but you can't be like, oh, I just love chocolate cake and pizza, and that makes me happy, and pasta all day, because that's not real food. Like if you want to indulge in that, sometimes it's fine. But food should be, you eat food, like these cultures, they eat what's local, they eat what's healthy, they don't eat a lot. Maybe they get together, can I have some water? Maybe they get together and eat and don't just eat alone, but it's not about indulging in the richest favorite food. It's really not about that. It's just food, it's food. You eat, I go home, I eat a big salad, you have some meat. It's not like, oh my God, I can't wait to eat a big bowl of pasta because it's like comfort food, and then eat chocolate cake. Again, sometimes it's okay, but it can't be like what's bringing you I know people, I see people like that's the only joy they have that gives them comfort. Then it's a problem with your relationship with food. You have to change your relationship with food. Thank you. Thank you. Here's ways to improve your diet. Thanks, Joy. Increase your good fat. Now, your brain is made of fat, right? Your brain is made of mostly cholesterol. So if you want to have a healthy functioning brain, you have to consume a lot of healthy fat, of good quality fat, like raw cheese, raw milk. In my store, we have raw milk here and raw cheese here. I'll only eat raw dairy. Soon I'm going to be milking goats, and I'm only going to drink raw goat milk. I'm not going to pasteurize it. Thank you. Grass-fed yogurt. Like, so if dairy can't be raw, some dairies, you can't get raw butter, but if you can get raw milk, you can get, and you can get raw cheese, you can't get raw yogurt or raw butter. But any kind of other dairy should be from a grass-fed cow, because cows are designed to eat grass. If cows eat anything except grass, it makes them sick, and it makes their milk, it messes with the fat, it makes it bad. So only do grass-fed dairy. And eating a cow too, it should be grass-fed meat. It tastes way better. It's really good for you. It helps your brain function better. So nuts should be raw or sprouted, and so should seeds. So roasted nuts are bad, because when you high heat a nut or a seed, it changes the fat and makes it a rancid fat that will decrease the function of your brain and cause inflammation in your body. So raw or sprouted nuts and seeds. Avocados are one of the best things you can eat. I've been telling you this for like 15 years, right? She follows everything. Avocados, you should eat an avocado every single day. Any kind of coconut product, anything from a coconut. Coconut milk, as long as you're not getting it in one of those packages that has 5,000 other ingredients in it, just get a can of coconut milk or coconut cream, and then you can whip it up and you can make whipped cream out of that. And to cook with, you cook with coconut oil. Some people use avocado oil or natural animal fats, like, a pastured pork lard is better for you than vegetable oil. But it can't be regular pig from, like where they, like, what do they call that? What's that word? Factory farm pig. That's not good anyway. Only eat pastured pork. But pastured pork lard, you should cook with that. And like, didn't you used to make pie crust with that before they stopped that? That's really good for you. Beef tallow from a grass-fed cow. Fry potatoes in that and make French fries. McDonald's used to use beef tallow. when they first started, and that was actually good for you. Now they use vegetable oil, which is going to kill you, destroy your brain cells, and cause inflammation. And extra virgin olive oil, don't cook with it, just add it to your food after. Probably different than anything you've heard. Everyone's like, no. I think we can share this PowerPoint, you guys, right? Joy will share this with you guys. You can have the whole PowerPoint. So you have to change the meats. So with meat, with factory farming, they genetically modify the animals. They have really bad living conditions. They're given antibiotics. They're given toxic diets. So meat from an unhealthy animal is bad for you, but meat from a good animal is extremely good for you. So any kind of beef should be grass-fed. Any kind of chicken or pork should be pastured, and any fish should be wild caught, not farm raised. Like farm raised salmon, they're fed corn, which is not natural food for salmon. They're injected with antibiotics, and then the salmon are gray because they're sick. So they inject them with red dye to make them pink. That's gross. So only wild salmon. Remove all sugar. This is the #1 thing. No matter what I look at, what I study right now, I'm studying the brain and like rebalancing the brain and preventing Alzheimer's and dementia and reducing depression and anxiety and balancing your, and the #1 thing that this doctor says for every single condition is balance your blood sugar and get rid of sugar. Like get rid of sugar because that balances your blood sugar. It's like really just nothing worse for you than eating sugar. Nothing. Americans consume 27 teaspoons of sugar per day on average. So if there's people like, I don't eat any sugar. So someone out there is eating 54 teaspoons of sugar. That's a lot of sugar. So you can use stevia or monk fruit or xylitol or erythritol, and you can sweeten with that. But sugar is, you know, doctors now call, Alzheimer's, they're saying is just diabetes 3. It's diabetes, that's how diabetes affects your brain, by destroying your brain. That's what they call Alzheimer's diabetes 3, because sugar will destroy your brain. And you have to eat lots of greens and vegetables and fruit. So simple. So if you, just in case you needed more reasons not to eat sugar, it causes, these are 10 reasons that sugar is dangerous. It causes blood glucose to, because people don't want to stop eating sugar. They're like, but I love sugar. I'm like, love something else, right? Find something else that makes you happy. It causes your blood sugar to spike and plummet, leading to mood swings, fatigue, and headaches. And as I'm learning, it affects your memory and it affects your brain. It increases your risk of diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. It destroys your immune system. So if you want a strong immune system, if you want a strong immune system, you have to stay away from sugar. If you consume sugar, it basically shuts your immune system down for the next 5 or 6 hours. You have no immune system. Sugar feeds cancer cells. Cancer needs sugar. It can't use anything else for energy except sugar. So if you have, like when the man went to Icaria, he didn't eat sugar over there. And one of the things he did was not eat processed sugar, and his cancer cells were starving. And that's one thing that we do, that I talk to my patients about. If you have cancer, you have to stop eating sugar because you want to starve the cancer cells so they die. Sugar affects cognition in children. When New York City public schools reduced the sugar in their food, their academic rating increased 15.7%. It was the greatest increase I'd ever seen before. And the only increase I ever seen was 1.7. But when they reduced sugar, the children increased their academics by 15.7%. That's huge. Sugar increases stress because when you eat sugar, your body goes into fight or flight. It's like being attacked by a bear. It causes unexplained anxiety, irritability, and shakiness. Eating sugar can cause a chromium deficiency, and that actually leads to diabetes. That's one of the things that leads to diabetes. There's a chromium deficiency. So if you have diabetes, it's good to take chromium, but that's fine, but you also have to stop eating sugar and all things that turn to sugar, like wheat bread and pasta and all that. It's going to go blank in a minute. Sugar takes place of important nutrients. So if you're eating sugar, you're going to be full and you're not going to eat broccoli and kale and all this other stuff, right? It causes massive inflammation in your body and in your brain, which is an underlying cause of almost everything else, including autoimmune disease, cancer, any kind of brain disorder, is all the inflammation that's caused by sugar. So if, in case you need reasons to stop eating it, and I bet if you stop eating sugar, you're going to feel better. You're going to start feeling better almost right away. It's just a habit. You know, replace it with monk fruit. Make your own cookies with almond flour, coconut flour, and monk fruit to sweeten it. And grass-fed butter. And it tastes great. And you can still enjoy that. And you're not going to have all these damaging effects. You can get off sugar. I stopped eating sugar 11 years ago. It's only hard at the beginning until you change your habit. And then you don't even care. You know, if I want sugar, I make my own brownies with coconut flour and monk fruit. And that's it. And then they take, and then I don't crave more. Like, you know, eat sugar, you crave more. When you eat monk fruit and like coconut flour, almond flour, as opposed to wheat or any other flour, you just don't crave more. You just eat it and like, oh, that was good. And then you're good. Because otherwise, right, you just eat and you just want more and more, because sugar creates like this massive dopamine influx, and then it's like super, super addictive. Sugar is just as addictive as heroin and cocaine. Fitness. I hate Dr. Allie. I was kidding. Who asked her? Fitness. All right. Fitness doesn't have to mean, like I said before, going to a gym. Just dance or walk or jog or get outside, go climb, go hiking, whatever. You can go to the gym too. It doesn't matter. Anything to just move. So cultures with high longevity, they just move a lot. And so exercise isn't something that you add to a healthy, it's like, oh, I'm also going to exercise. Like if you don't exercise and you don't move, you're actually deficient in oxygen, and your brain is deficient in oxygen, and it's not going to function properly. So you have to exercise to get enough oxygen to your brain and your organs. So it's extremely essential to move, and it doesn't matter what you do. You can clean, you can jump around, you can whatever you want. It doesn't matter. You can go to the gym, you can go on a treadmill, you do whatever you want, as long as you move and out of breath and maybe sweating a little. That's it. And we're going to talk about minimizing toxins. So one of the things you don't find in the blue zones, you don't find anything that's toxic, because there's no chemically made things there. There's no chemicals in the food, because there's no chemicals there. They're not like putting things in plastic in a microwave. They're not eating, look at some of the ingredients and some of the food you have in boxes. I guarantee you 80% of the ingredients in there, you won't even recognize what it is, because it's a chemical and it's a toxin. And any kind of toxin, your body has no idea what to do with it. So it just wraps it in a fat cell and it stores it. So people are overweight because of toxins many times, and sugar, but because of toxins. So toxins can be, do I have a list of it? Toxins can be plastic. It could be pesticides on food. It can be stuff in your cleaning products. You should clean with vinegar and baking soda and essential oils. Don't clean with bleach or any of that chemical stuff you find on the aisles. Like, doesn't that smell bad? That is not good for you. That affects your brain also. It damages your brain. Or, chemicals in the shampoo and the cream you put on your skin. It gets absorbed into your skin. Like on your skin, use coconut oil or almond oil or even olive oil or shea butter, and that'll truly moisturize your skin. If you're using chemicals to moisturize your skin like Lubriderm, it actually will make your skin more dry, so you need to keep reapplying it. Like that chapstick stuff, it makes your skin, it dries out your lips, so you have to keep reapplying it and buy more. That's actually what it does. So be careful what you're putting on your body as well as in your body. Get natural. Why, rinse your hair with vinegar or like a Castile soap or something. Like I put coconut oil in my hair, and I don't use any other products in my hair. You know, I wash with little Castile soap or vinegar. So there's really minimum toxic exposure in any of these blue zones because it's like not like all industrialized. Industrialized causes like 100,000 here. Like in the past few decades, more than 100,000 new chemicals have been introduced to our bodies, homes, and environment. 100,000 new chemicals. Your body has no idea what to do with those chemicals. Think about when you were a kid, how did your mother wash your house? I bet she used vinegar and baking soda and lemon, right? Probably. You have to get back to that. And who knows, like, what did you put in your hair and how'd you wash your skin? It was all like natural. Everything was natural. So here are the sources of toxins. Food, obviously, just eat real food. Water, you know, be careful of the water you're drinking. You know, if you don't really, maybe don't drink water out of plastic bottles because many times the water in those plastic bottles have been sitting in the heat for who knows how long traveling from wherever they traveled. And a lot of the chemicals in the plastic is now leached into the water. So like well water is the best. If you can't get well water, just get water right from the tap or get a Brita filter or something like that. Personal care products, like I said, the toothpaste and the shampoo, like brush your teeth with activated charcoal and a little peppermint essential oil and maybe a little coconut oil. And that'll keep your teeth white and clean. Because some of this, I can do a whole talk about just chemicals, right? But just use the minimum chemicals, like the most natural stuff you can find. And air quality. You know how to improve air quality? Don't spray Febreze, like don't spray stuff. Maybe get a diffuser with essential oils, but just get house plants. Plants will clean the air for you. Keep the windows open when you can. Just basic stuff, like don't think you have to spray something natural. You don't, you just don't spray other stuff in there. Get a bunch of plants, keep the windows open. And if you like essential oils, diffuse some essential oils for some, you know, clean the air a little bit. Those are the basic sources of minimizing toxins. And chiropractic. So as a chiropractor, I adjust your spine, not to remove pain. Well, it does remove pain, but when I adjust your spine to take pressure off your spinal cord. And your brain sends information through your spinal cord, out your nerves to your organs, and that's how your organs get the information they need to function. As a chiropractor, I adjust the spine to take pressure off the spinal cord and the nerves so the brain can communicate with your body. That's what chiropractic is. And while I'm adjusting you, your pain will go away. But more importantly, you know, people can reduce their medication, especially for blood pressure and for diabetes and for all different types of things, because your body will just start to function better. Digestion improves, stress improves because it balances out, takes you out of fight or flight and balances you out. I treat a lot of babies and children, and that's not because they have pain. That's because, you know, my children were adjusted when they were babies too, just so their bodies function better. That's all, just so your body functions better. And in other societies, they don't really sit as much as we do. We sit a lot and we're just damaging our spine and putting pressure. When you sit, you're putting a lot of pressure on your spinal cord and your nerves and your lower back, which go to your digestive organs, your reproductive organs, your legs, and other organs. So as a chiropractor, I just remove interference so your body works properly. And sitting is like the worst thing you can do. Sitting is the new smoking, exactly. But guess how you should sit? So can you see me? Like can you see me or no? Don't sit back. Like if you sit like this, you're destroying your spine. Sit at the edge of your chair and sit up like this. Right there, it's just going to change the way your heart functions. It's going to improve your heart. Like it's going to feel cardio. You're going to be out of breath by doing this because it's making your heart stronger. But sitting back like this is just killing your spine. Your muscles are going to hurt. Your body is just going to get, your heart is going to get like weaker and weaker. Sitting up like this, your heart will get stronger and stronger. Honestly, like, trust me, you guys, I saw you guys do it. You're going to be like a little out of breath soon. Like, why am I out of breath? Sitting improperly can take years off your life. Now it's better to sit less anyway and move around more. But when you are sitting, sit up. Nice posture, shoulders back, right? Nice curves like that. That's how you sit. Oh, and here's the nervous system. Here's where the information leaves your spinal cord and what organs it goes to. So if you have issues with organs, you should see a chiropractor instead of getting a pill, because a pill might cover up the problem, but it's not going to fix the problem. You have to take it forever. But if you're on a medication, you come in, we change your diet, and then you get adjusted, and then you can slowly with your doctor wean off medication. That's the whole goal. Because medication is one of the biggest toxins. More people go to the hospital because of the side effects of medication and need to take more medication because of the side effects of other medication than almost anything else. So medication is very, very toxic. If you need to take something temporarily, like if you have pneumonia and you take antibiotics, that's not the same thing as taking a pill for the rest of your life for years and years and years. It's just not going to help your body function better, and you're going to have side effects you don't even know about. So always want to take an approach where we fix the body so that you don't have the problem, right? And then you reduce your medication. Some people get off everything. Here are like early warning signs that you have like something going on with your nervous system. They should be taken care of. Headaches, dizziness, fatigue, acid reflux, any kind of numbness or tingling, insomnia, depression, just warning signs, like early warning signs that there's something going on. And many times they're ignored. And you can see problems coming years in advance. Whereas sometimes our healthcare profession, they can't necessarily diagnose you with something. They're just like, oh, you're getting old, you have a headache. But really, that headache could eventually lead to other really serious problems, or Alzheimer's or dementia. And you can see all these problems like little insomnia, a little depression. You can't ignore these things because that's what it turns into. It turns into something serious. And then they wait until they diagnose you with something that could have been prevented. Parkinson's can be prevented, Alzheimer's can be prevented, dementia can be prevented, as long as you catch it early, right? When you have warning signs, rather than ignoring, and then now you're really sick, and now you have, maybe you can't reverse it now. So always like pay attention, and like your symptoms matter, right? Like, oh, this is something that's bothering me. Well, let's figure out why and fix it so it doesn't develop something worse. And that's it. Those are not coming up. That was from my last one. All right, do we take questions, or how does that work?
Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Allie?
I do.
Okay, go right ahead.
You say take natural things. Is honey good? Honey is sugar.
Right, no. The problem with honey and maple syrup is people have eaten so much sugar and have eaten so many grains for so many years that you have to we're over here on the scale. You have to balance it out by going over here and getting rid of all of it. Whereas if you live in Greece, maybe have some honey on some things, but you're not like eating, 10 pounds of sugar a year. Does that make sense? So here, like in the state that we're in, you get rid of all honey, you get rid of all maple syrup, you get rid of all sugar, dates and everything. Whereas in another country, maybe they eat a little, but they don't eat what we do, right? So for now, if you want to get better, you have to go the extreme the other way. Like we should be here, we're here, you have to go here. You're like, no honey, no maple syrup, no sugar, no dates. No juice, thank you. Like no orange juice or grapefruit juice, none of that. It's all sugar. If you want to get better, you have to like really start to try to tip the scales to get back to like balance. And when you're back to balance and you're completely healthy, eat some honey. It's fine. Eat some maple syrup. It's fine.
Okay. The next question is
Yeah.
coconut oil. I thought coconut oil is classified the same as palm kernel oil, which is bad for your heart.
Right. Go ahead.
So what is the latest on coconut oil? Because
Well, I'll tell you that coconut oil is not like palm oil at all. And the people who did these things on coconut oil were like the canola oil people. And so coconut oil, not only is it not bad for your heart, it's extremely good for your heart, where you should just drink coconut oil. Like I would drink coconut oil. I would deep fry in coconut oil. I would take a lot of coconut oil. Whereas these other oils, like you know, like some of the palm oils, like canola oil, vegetable oil, that is so bad for you. But coconut oil is like the perfect ratio of essential fatty acids that your brain and your body needs. It's like the perfect food. Like people in tropics, they literally just live on coconuts and they're perfect. There's no Alzheimer's, right? So be careful where your information is coming from, because some of it's just propaganda. Yep.
In place of orange juice, which is sold all over the place, what do you suggest?
I didn't hear the question.
Something else that is of equal value but has no sugar or no sugar.
Lots of sugar.
What are you talking about? I'm
Dr.
confused.
Allie, the question
Yeah.
is, he was saying, is there a substitute for orange juice that, right, that isn't bad for you, but a substitute for orange juice?
No. I'm sorry. You can,
What would you have in a
you
breakfast?
can eat an orange, but no juice. Like you can have water with like a, right, with essential oil, or squeeze a little orange juice into water. But juice is not good for you. Juice causes diabetes. Yeah, I won't go into that. You could squeeze a little orange juice into water, like you could do. You know, like you squeeze a little lemon, but there's not really any substitute. And like I said, Diet Coke is not good, because those types of fake, so like where stevia, monk fruit, xylitol, and erythritol are good sugar replacements, Equal, aspartame, and Splenda are terrible, because your body, first of all, it's a toxin. Like if it's a neurotoxin which damages your brain. Second of all, your brain thinks it's sugar and releases insulin. So it's no different than eating sugar. So even if it says no calories, it's not. It's going to release insulin, and you can get diabetes by drinking Diet Coke.
Any other questions for Dr. Allie?
Why do you recommend not cooking with olive oil? Only
Because olive oil is very delicate oil. And if it gets heated, it actually turns into, it like damages it and turns into a bad oil. So where you can cook with coconut oil, because it's saturated, olive oil will just oxidize when you heat it. But you can pour it on your food and drink it and all that. You just can't heat it. It's too delicate. It oxidizes and turns rancid. Whereas coconut oil won't, and those animal fats won't do that.
mono unsaturated oil, like sesame oil, just as good as the olive oil?
No monounsaturated oils at all.
No.
No. I don't know, maybe sesame oil if you don't heat it. I think sesame oil is okay, just don't heat it. You don't want to heat that.
Right.
But like, so maybe sesame oil is okay, but like none of, like corn oil and peanut oil and canola are really bad. No vegetable oils. Like I think sesame oil is okay. Just don't heat it. Just pour it on your food for flavor.
Doctor, can you tell us a little bit about Essential Health Store on Park Road where you live?
Right. So I'm a chiropractor and I recommend a lot of food. So we like added a food store to our office years ago, just so it's easy to get. We have like local grass-fed meat and pastured chicken and pastured pork and, raw milk and raw cheese. And we have a lot of substitutes. So like we have Zevia, which is, you can get that at Stop and Shop too, which is soda that has no color in it. It's sweet with stevia. And we have
Okay.
made with xylitol, and we have like, we just have a lot of different like raw nuts and sprouted nuts and like a lot of fermented food, like ketchup made without sugar, like a lot of things that you're not really going to find anywhere, because we want people to get rid of sugar. And so we have lots of different like natural replacements for the foods that people like. Even
What's the address on Park Road? Excuse me.
that's okay. It's 74 Park Road.
Right next to Dunkin' Donuts as you go down where.
Yes, it's on the other side of the.
It's almost across the street from Effie's.
Right.
Yeah, it's like corner off from Effie's. Yeah, a block up from. It's a block up from Prospect.
Doctor, can you tell this lady and all the group about monk fruit? They had never heard of it.
Oh yeah, monk fruit is, so I've been using xylitol and erythritol for years, and monk fruit is fairly new that people are really, it's really popular. It's also, they make it into a powdered sugar, and it has, like, where xylitol can make people like have digestive issues because it's very fibery, monk fruit doesn't have that. And monk fruit actually has a lot of nutrients in it. And it tastes sweet. Like you wouldn't know the difference if you baked cookies with monk fruit. I don't know if you'd even notice the difference that there's no sugar in it. It has a nice sweet taste. It has nutrients and it doesn't impact your insulin levels. So it doesn't release insulin. And it really doesn't affect your digestion. Oh, here it is.
Oh, looks like sugar.
And it comes from Asia, the Luhan fruit. Discovered by monks, apparently. So that's what I use xylitol still, but I like monk fruit a lot.
Phyllis, do you have a question for Dr. Allie?
Yes, I do. Hi, where can you, I'm trying to look it up while you were talking. Where can you buy coconut oil to cook with?
Oh, like anywhere. Just sure, like I think Stop and Shop has it, Costco has it, everyone has it. Just make sure it doesn't say processed or bleached. It has to be like raw coconut oil. Fine, like unrefined coconot oil.
What are your hours of operation? What days you're open?
Oh, we're open every day, but not Sundays. Like 10 to 7, and then Fridays 10 to 6, and Saturdays 10 to 5. And if you come here, like anyone who works here knows everything about all of this, pretty much. So they can show you everything. And
Go ahead.
What do you think of the fad about counting the number of steps you do every day?
wait, I didn't hear that.
The question is, what do you think about counting your steps that you walk every day?
I think that's fine. Like, I don't do that because then, like, I don't know. I just don't like having any of those gadgets on me. I just don't like it. I think it's fine. I think that you should walk and enjoy. If you want to, like, as long as you're not like looking at it, like, oh, I got to get more steps in or whatever, just do more. I think it's fine if you want to do it. I just don't like those gadgets. I don't like that. I don't want to count calories. And I don't want to look at numbers like that. I think you just go live, because maybe you'll be like more obsessed with, like, maybe you'll just get a little bit like too focused on it rather than just going out and enjoying your life, right? Does that make sense? Everyone's different. Some people really love those steps things. If that makes you walk more, then do it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Allie.
Yeah, if you have questions, you can ask. You can email me questions or.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for coming out this afternoon with our seniors. We appreciate it. And this group is very interested in learning new things. So it's wonderful.
Awesome. That's great.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.